Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Welcome to the Odds Breakers, number one place for shared sharp betting information.
Welcome back to Podcast 8 of 2026. I'm your host, Kiev O'Neill. You can follow me on Twitter at OBKiev. Follow us at The Oddsbreakers. Follow us on social media / The Oddsbreakers. This episode is being brought to you by FanDuel Sports, a proud partner with the NFL. If you like sport, The Oddsbreakers, and benefit from our premium plays, please visit theoddsbreakers.com, click shop, become a member, pick any winning cappers to get the premium plays before the line moves. You can also support us on patreon.com. If nothing else, please visit The Oddsbreakers, become a free Picks and Telegram subscriber. Another weekend has gone, my friends, and wow, we have a Super Bowl. Seattle against the New England Patriots. Oh, those Patriots again showing up, huh? Well, it sure took a lot for them to get there. A whole lot of nothing, that is. A whole lot of things that went their way, it seemed. But here we are. Bets went great. Two sides, nailed them both. We had Seattle, as you know, for the 3-star. I did hedge back for a star and lost just because I thought there was no way that they weren't going to score a few points. And fourth and goal, they went for... They did have some time to kick a field goal, maybe get the ball back, but I still think you should go for it. And they just couldn't get it in, and Seattle ended up winning by 4 points. You know, I mean, a lot to unpack in that game, even a lot more to unpack in the Denver game. But here we are. We also hit the under in Denver. If you remember, I mentioned could get some weather in the Denver area when this time of year. I didn't think it'd be blizzarding myself, but saw that 43.5 minus 118. I jumped on it. Jumped on that under. My number said go under, and he had a quarterback that was good for one play pretty much, and he was also really good for a play for the Patriots, which was probably called wrong. But here we are, just getting right into that game. A lot to dissect. A lot of people are giving Sean Payton grief for going it for 4th and 1 on the 10. I don't. You should always go for 4th and 1. There's numbers that even say all the way back to your own 20 that you go for it. I don't quite go that far myself, but it's the play, not the situation. And nobody knew it was going to blizzard that much. I don't even think the freaking weathermen, who are wrong half the time, knew it was going to blizzard that much in the second half. And hell, if you knew it, maybe you kick it. But no, I had no problem with him going on 4th down. What I had a problem with was some of the other stupid ones he tried for, the long field goals in the wind. I had a problem with the way he used timeouts. He blew one or two, before the end of that game as well. And man, they just could not get any offense going at all with Jarrett Stidham. None whatsoever. Very predictable plays. They're stacking the box against him. You at least got to get something out through the middle, maybe a little whip route or something. But geez, I mean, I think even Stidham can complete those little plays, but you just kept going like run, lose 3 yards, run, lose a yard, 3rd and long. Just get to 3rd and short in that situation. But Mike Vrabel played it correctly. Run, punt. Run, punt. All the second half. And I was smiling about that under. I was a little nervous for a while about my cover. But, going back to how this happened, there was a really, really poor call on the forward pass that was a forward pass and batted back by the Patriots. They reviewed it and reversed the call as not intentional grounding. Instead, they called it a fumble. And that wasn't a fumble. It was a forward pass that got batted right away. Even if your arm's going forward and they hit the ball, that is called the forward pass. The fact that they did not do it, and it didn't look like a pass, but you're allowed to chuck the ball too. It literally handed the Patriots 7 points. And you know who the ref was? It was Kemp. Now 31-3 straight up since 2014. Like 27-6 or something like that. It's 28-6, I would say. ATS. NFL Ref Stats has the numbers on him, but he is the biggest favorite ref in the history of the NFL. And that fourth down with Drake May that made them go ahead 10-3. He didn't make that fourth down. He was just kind of crawling and pushing himself back, and the motion was stopped on that first. His forward motion was stopped, and you allow that. He got eventually we slithered his way on the ground close to it, but one line judge had it way before, and the other had it high, and they ended up just giving it to the Patriots. Couldn't review it, or not enough evidence. Yeah, evidence my ass. This is the same thing that happened to Josh Allen against the Kansas City Chiefs. Two big things happened in the last 2 weeks from that game. The interception that was awarded to the offense and that. So that was absolutely insane. The bottom line is that the Patriots are the better team with May, and I suppose I'd rather see them lose bad in the Super Bowl than the Denver lose even worse in the Super Bowl. But the way it went down when it was not up to the players kind of irks me. And there was 3 missed field goals in that game. The Patriots missed 1 and Denver missed 2. And Denver missed a pretty short shot as well. I think it was, a 42, 43-yard field goal? That should have been made to tie it up. Just bad all over the place. But, it's just Sean Payton, he does some good things and he does some bad things. It's just always been like that with him. He's a little bit of an overrated coach. But calls go their way, they probably win that game. That's how close it was. Moving to Seattle, that was a really interesting game too. That was the best playoff game we had this year. I mean, maybe the Bears was better. I don't know. The Bears was weirder. Just because Caleb made that pass to tie it up, that's what made it better, I guess. But this, from an action standpoint, in a talent standpoint, and a strength of team standpoint, was the Super Bowl. The Seattle Seahawks, in my opinion, kind of won the Super Bowl against the Rams. This is just more of a technicality game coming up in 2 weeks that we can have fun, drink some beer, and bet a bunch of prop bets, right? That's what we have to look forward to. And I made a few prop bets, and I'm going to give you one at the end of this show. This is actually just going to be a shorter show because we don't have a lot to really talk about. But, back and forth. McVay screwed up a few times. Should have went for 2. There's some pretty bad calls in that game, too. A face mask was missed on Stafford. That would have given him 1st and goal. That took points away from him. And the push out of bounds on Seattle, on the Rams pushed him out of bounds when the ball was almost there. That was catchable because I replayed it many times, paused it. The ball hit him in the head after he got pushed, and his feet were still stretched in the field area, not out of bounds. That was a very catchable ball that was completely botched by Clark and the officials there. Or Martin. Sorry, it was Martin. But Jesus, man. Still, minus that, was an amazing game. Bad special teams play, kind of like we saw in the college football national championship, hurt the Rams. I thought the Rams may even played a little bit better on offense than Seattle. Sam Darnold didn't turn into a pumpkin, though. He actually played a good game, but Stafford was better, in my opinion. Jackson Smith-Njigba was a god. What a stupid underbet I had on that. I did lose my prop on that. We went 2-1 in props because we had Stidham over and Ramondre Stevenson receiving yards under. But, man, that special teams blunder, he almost drops one of the punts earlier, and then he drops one and gives it to Seattle right there, and they score a touchdown to go up by 11 points. That was the game. Maybe if that's played again, I would say, maybe Seattle wins 51 out of 100 times, but Jesus, man. I laid under 3 because 3 is a key number. Tie game, I kind of went with defense here, but not even Seattle's defense was able to stop the Rams all that well. And, it took special teams blunders for Seattle to do that. And actually, I will give Seattle props on that second to final Rams drive where they had 4th down into the end zone and couldn't get it in. But guess what, McVay? You go for 2 earlier and make that when you have momentum. You don't have to do it. You don't have to worry about it. You kick the field goal and tie the game. That was a complete blunder on his part. College basketball, actually kind of a down weekend for me. I could not believe the Badgers lost to USC. Northwestern goes to USC and beat them. One of the, I wouldn't say the worst of the Big Ten, but a bad Big Ten game in Big Ten team in Northwestern. And all of a sudden, USC comes back to Wisconsin and beats them on their home court. That was absolutely insane too. Big names, nothing. Illinois beating Purdue. I laid minus 2.5 the morning before. As soon as DK came out, that thing closed at 6.5. I took +6. I couldn't believe it kept going up on Illinois. I wish I would have did a full buyback or more. But that was just like 4 points of line value type situation. And Illinois won outright. You know, they couldn't miss. They could not miss at the end of that game. It was amazing. They have a lot of Croatian dudes on this team. Petrovic, Mirkovic, Stojakovic. I mean, Ivicic, Tomislav Ivicic. I don't even know how to pronounce all these guys, but it is something to see this really tall, talented team that just hits shots here. Most of the starters are not even from America. What the hell are you doing over there, Brad Underwood? You know, going to Purdue and beating them like that was very, very impressive. I give them a ton of props, man. That was the big thing here. I did hit Texas Tech, baby, against Houston. That was one of my good ones. Hit some unders and some kind of under the radar type games. The other big game, I guess, was UConn, and they took care of Villanova in overtime. I'm sorry if you had Villanova there. I think they lost by 8, and the spread was, 7.5, I think? That was rough. We had Xavier. Remember, that was my buy low team? Well, they're tied with St. John's with 2 minutes left. They're actually winning that game for a long time, and the daddy, Rick Pitino, Richard's dad, had to say, I'm not losing my kid. And those kids and his guys followed through for him. You know, that was clutch. But Xavier, I'm going to keep my eye on Xavier. I'm going to keep betting Xavier. And they're going to have a matchup against Seton Hall coming up. I like this Xavier team. Numbers dependent always because this next game's on Wednesday. But really, really played well against St. John's. They need a big dub this Wednesday, though. Hopefully they didn't leave it all out on the floor. The Auburn beating Florida too. How about Auburn going to Florida and winning? Some pretty interesting away victories over the weekend as well. Nebraska destroyed Minnesota, which Minnesota was beating them at the half. What the hell happened there? They got outscored 21-8. In the third quarter and 25-13 in the fourth. They scored freaking 25 second half points. The Gophers at home only scored 25 second half points.
Unreal.
Was absolutely insane watching what Nebraska's doing. We still have 3 undefeated teams because I believe that Miami, Ohio, won again against Kent State. That was last Tuesday. They play this Tuesday. And, of course, Arizona wins. And we also had Nebraska, just like I mentioned, winning themselves. So 3 undefeated teams in college basketball. The good, the bad, and the ugly from the weekend. Starting with the good, Texas Tech. JT Toppin. Man, that kid's good. I remember sell high on Houston. Here we go. Those worked out well. But JT Toppin's an absolute beast. And I can see him playing 82 games a year pretty soon. Illinois and Keaton Wagler scoring 46 points against Purdue. And then you also had Mirkovic scoring 12 points, but those threes at the end were absolutely key.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why drivers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Ivicic also scored a couple threes himself. Didn't really get too many inside shots, but it was really a one-man scoring machine right there with Keaton Wagler. I was just like, what? What? Man, Purdue was shell-shocked after that one. How about the Patino game was fantastic. Our Patino wins is what I tweeted, something stupid like that. But yeah, obviously Rick Pitino, still the dad there. USC beating Wisconsin. I do have to give them credit, going to a hostile territory after an embarrassing loss. They just played some defense. Imagine if you did that every game, USC. Imagine if you did that every game and played defense. It'd be pretty cool, huh? Rams-Seahawks game. The best game of the playoffs because you had the two best teams facing off against each other. And, of course, Auburn beating Florida. Now for the bad. Big Ten home teams. They're kind of bad this week. Just many of them lost, Purdue's line value, Jesus Christ, 4 points of line value. How about Alabama? Laid 5.5, gets to 6.5. I was pissed because I could have laid 3.5 the day before. Then the freaking announcement, 2 of them are injured from practice. And you announced it 4 hours before the freaking game? What? Oh my God, I was furious. I was like, what? Well, they lost outright to Tennessee because of that. 2 starters. It was Aiden Holloway and somebody else. Was it Sherelle? I don't remember who else it was, but Jesus, man, I was so pissed that college basketball injury info, man. What a crock of shit that sometimes you get from that. How about also a dude that played for the NBA G League coming back? And Bediako, what's he, like 30 years old now or something? He's got to be at least 26, right? Charles Bediako coming back to play for Alabama, taking away time for a younger kid to play. I freaking hate that. McVay not going for 2 was bad. Ooh, that was bad. You got it with 2 minutes left in the third. You go for 2 there. You got to put the pressure on. You got to make it easier for you to tie that game. Broncos were dropping passes a lot. It wasn't just Stidham, it was them. They were also dropping passes themselves. Refs missing the face mask on Stafford, as I mentioned, and the PI push on the Rams against pushing Seattle. Now for the ugly. Man, the bottom of the Big Ten is freaking awful. It is freaking awful, man. And I'm talking about Penn State, Maryland, Rutgers, and Minnesota. But I can actually also throw in, I guess I could throw in Oregon now that they're so freaking injured, but they are 8-12, and Northwestern's kind of borderline. But just the bottom of the Big Ten is pure trash. They're just bad. I'm thinking the Big Ten does not get too many tournament teams this year. I think they cut it off at 7 or 8. We'll find out. The refs giving the Patriots a first down on that Drake May. That wasn't a first down. Sean Payton's play calling in general was kind of bad. Just couldn't move the ball whatsoever. The batted pass called a fumble after replay. How is that a fumble when his arm was going forward? That was absolutely pathetic. And it wasn't going backward either. It was going forward in an angle past the line of scrimmage. And then obviously the worst, Shedeur Sanders making the Pro Bowl. You want to know about the Pro Bowl? That's all you got to need to know about the NFL's Pro Bowl.
Well, Blondie, so long.
All right, now it's time to talk a little early Super Bowl stuff. So, you know, the line popped at 3.5. I think the look ahead was 3 with Seattle. I grabbed a 3.5 just for a numbers grab. No handicap involved yet. You know, it's funny. My numbers, just because of it can't. The way my algorithm goes, it doesn't completely adjust for an obscure strength of schedule disadvantage like the Patriots have. And I say disadvantage because they had it so easy this year. It's hard to use those numbers because their strength of schedule has been easier than I've ever seen in my entire life. Okay. So, you know, from a power rating standpoint, my number's like 4.25, you know, I think. Seattle's my number one team at 7.75 points, better than the average team. New England's at 3.5. So 4.25 is my line from a power rating. But to be honest with you, 6 is probably a fair number from what I've seen on the field. Vrabel did a wonderful job. And how bad are the freaking Titans right now looking at that? How they fired their coach, Vrabel, and blamed it on him when it was completely the GM and ownership who absolutely sucked at that organization. Holy cow. But now you're looking at 4.5. It's probably going to climb to 5. I wouldn't doubt if it closes 5.5, 6. Looks kind of like I mentioned. Props are kind of starting to filter out there. There's always one that I always play that I'm hoping to give to you on Wednesday. By the way, we're going to have 3 podcasts this week. Rafael Sparza is going to come on Wednesday. Matt Humans on Thursday. Talk more basketball and props. But in my opinion, I just think that this is not much of a side. This is not going to be necessarily an exciting game. I mean, I'm going to sound like everybody else, but alt lines. Look at alt lines, right? Look at maybe Seattle minus 9.5, right? Something like that. Something you can get a big chunk bet on. And they're probably already out yet. I didn't even see if all the lines are out. Not yet. It'll be out soon. It's not if our friends at FanDuel will have them soon. But they already have the props flying out on this one. I actually think that Drake May is going to be throwing the ball a lot, and he's probably going to be running for his life a lot. So I'll give you a couple of hints on that. Sam Darnold, good enough. Jackson Smith-Njigba, maybe the best receiver in the league. Him and Puka are probably tied right now. Those guys, if you watch them run routes, it just blows your mind. These are the 2 best route runners also in the game, and that's why they're not the fastest guys. Actually, JSN's probably faster than Puka, but man, there's nobody that runs routes better than them. You know, and that's how you can be great in the NFL. Wes Welker was like that. He wasn't nothing special, but he ran great routes and had Brady throwing to him. You know, that's really all it takes. You know, obviously everyone's talking like you're going to hear the whole beast mode. Should have gave it to beast mode and the Malcolm Butler interception. And I'm sure Russell Wilson's probably sick of hearing that already. And now you got the same Super Bowl matchup as 2014. So you're going to hear a lot about that. Maybe we can make some props about that when we talk to Raphael on Wednesday. But I'm excited for the Super Bowl because that's what it is. It's the closing to the NFL season. Feels like I could watch more football. I'm not completely drained by it. The refs, as bad as they were, believe it or not, this is not their worst season because every year you think it is, but it's actually not. They've been way worse in the past. But I could watch more NFL, and I think come June, July, I'm going to be really jonesing for it. But we're going to take this week and have some fun with it, and we're also going to focus on our number one sport right now, which is college basketball. I need to bounce back on that as well. So real quick, give you a play. I like Ramondre Stevenson under 14.5 rushing attempts. And to be honest with you, this looks like it's kind of heading towards 15.5. But I just really think if you're under, you're losing. This is not a game like it was in the snow last week. This is going to be in San Francisco or Santa Clara. You might get some rain, though. It is, a cold season there. But, maybe 55, 65 degrees. But at the same time, I just don't see Ramondre Stevenson running the ball all that much. And we're 2 weeks away, so we don't know what the weather is. So that's going to be my free play for a half a star. Ramondre Stevenson under 14.5 rushing attempts.
Freaking niggas every way like MJ.
All right. Little college basketball. I do have some games keyed in for Tuesday. I'm probably going to lay it with Purdue. I think it's a great bounce back spot. Purdue just couldn't do anything as Illinois just keep hitting shots. The look ahead is 4.5 right now on FanDuel Sports, which is a little high for me. I think I'll just kind of wait this one out a little bit and see where it finishes. Indiana's a home dog, so a lot of people gravitate towards the home dog. It is a contrarian situation, but it's only Purdue or nothing for me. I think they're the better team. They're a well put together team. I just don't see two bad performances in a row with Matt Painter, so we'll kind of look at that one. Vanderbilt's playing Kentucky, which is going to be a hell of a lot of fun coming up this weekend. The Cats had a close one with Ole Miss. Probably didn't need to be that close. Cats are an interesting team. They're a high variance team. I don't believe that they're really that consistent, and it's hard to bet on or against inconsistent teams. That's how I got burned with Wisconsin, I guess, yesterday. But the biggest game is Nebraska at Michigan, and what's Michigan laying 10.5 right now? 10.5. I mean, that's the number. I don't want to get involved in the Michigan side. I would rather take Nebraska's side, but Nebraska, if you remember, still has a guy out. Their 6-man is out, and if they run out of guns, this thing could get pretty ugly. I just don't see Frager coming back yet, as he hurt his ankle. But this team is so good, they can kind of get through without him. But I would only lean Nebraska here. They can't rebound the ball well on offense. They're a defensive focused team, even though they do play with some tempo. Michigan's just good all around. But you saw Michigan at home against Ohio State didn't cover, and they lost to Wisconsin at home too. So it's not like they're completely impervious here. It would be Nebraska or nothing for me. I'm still considering this one. Got Bama versus Missouri. I'm not touching Bama with those injuries right now. They're in an interesting spot. I don't know if their guys are coming back or not. If they're not, I would bet Missouri, really. So those are kind of a couple games that I'm keying in on. But either way, we have a lot going on in college basketball coming up for you. So we're going to talk about it every single Thursday at around 1 o'clock Mountain Time, 12 o'clock Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern Time to discuss the upcoming weekend. We're going to do Spaces with Kyle Hunter. We've been doing it on last Tuesday. It sounds like Kyle likes Tuesdays, so we might do it this Tuesday. So please tune in for that. We're giving you some good winners on Spaces as well. My friends, thank you so much for listening to this podcast. If you have any questions for us, feel free to tweet us at The Oddsbreakers. Email us at info@theoddsbreakers.com. Have a wonderful rest of your week. And go get some.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.